Geraldine O'Neil is joining us from one of the teachers' unions, and we've just been having a quick chat before we went on air. To say it's complicated, Geraldine, on what is going on, we're hearing things from the government side. Obviously, the unions are coming back. There are different unions involved, which is making it much more complicated. But industrial action is, it's up and running in some form already. Can we go right back, because we haven't really covered this? Who do you represent? How many people do you represent? And that sort of thing, first of all.
Right. I represent the NASUWT, and we represent the largest group of teachers and lecturers on the island currently. That is approximately 70% of the teaching workforce for the DESC. The other unions combined, therefore the three unions in dispute, we represent nearly 90% of the workforce at the moment who are in dispute with the Department of Education. There is a fourth union. They're not in dispute. They had sought to negotiate separately with the department. That deal fell through. It was decisively rejected by their members. The current situation is that the three unions in dispute, the head teacher unions, the leadership unions, have started their action short of strike action. We'll be beginning our action short of strike action next week when we come back after half term. And our action short of strike action is in relation to sessions, any sessions before pupil sessions in the day, school day, lunchtime or after school. Teachers will be still covering their core job and teaching, assessing pupils and their learning. So their core job will be completed. That will not be affected in our action short of strike action. The other two unions, the leadership unions, their action is the interface between them and the department and their communications. That's the difference.
It's been an interesting situation with the government because negotiations have been fraught. Would that even be, even close to what's going on?
Yes, it has been fraught. We did all agree to meet in November. We had 4 days of a working party with all four unions involved. At the end of that, unfortunately, we didn't make sufficient progress. There is another information or fact I need really to clarify here is we have not been offered the offers that the minister and the department are talking about were offers that would be detrimental to the teaching profession and their terms of conditions. So these are not offers we would ever have been considering. What we were looking for, and what we have been looking for from the beginning, is the implementation of the 2018 pay award in full right across the board. And then we are looking for a 2 to 3 year pay deal to in some way tackle the erosion of pay over the last 10 years. That's what we're looking for.
Explain about the parity situation with the UK, because at one stage everything was with that. Have you broken away, or are you trying to break away?
No.
What exactly is going on?
The parity situation with the UK is, again, this is a complicated situation. In the UK, STRB or STPCD, that's all part of the decision making on pay awards. But the department has tried to claim that, by doing what we're actually talking about in the future, doing a pay deal on Ireland, will somehow break us apart from that. The truth is that even in the UK, they don't always follow STPCD or STRB because it's academisation there. And actually what you have there is a supply and demand market where they pay upwards on teacher salaries and don't necessarily follow STPCD at all. So therefore, to claim that we're trying to break away from something that everybody's happy with in the UK is frankly not the case. Those are not the facts. STPCD and STRB are all under review at the moment. How that moves forward in the future, we'll have to see how that goes.
But in the past, did you just take the UK?
Yes, we did. We did. But
why change it then?
Because we were not awarded the full award in 2018. But also, we have been saying over the last 2 years in discussions with the department that we have a pay erosion on the island that is not the same as the UK.
You need more money here, right?
Exactly.
Did you get offered a London sort of weighting, though, in part of the deal? Is that
was
there?
the deal with the NEU. We did not agree with that deal, and that does not address our dispute. What we need is, as I said, a deal that would be over 2 to 3 years that will deal with erosion. That's what we're looking for, and that's actually what all three unions in dispute wants to see in the future.
Across the board pay rises or implemented, different levels or
well,
what?
they would obviously they'd be at different across the board pay rises, but would have a different impact at different levels.
Sure, but the
obviously.
UK weren't they trying to alter it slightly and not for more for the lower pay?
Oh yes. Well, there is the thing about getting rid of M1 and M2. Those are the starting salaries, but that's going to happen in the UK anyway. That's not anything wonderful that the Isle of Man would be doing. So that's already in the UK. That would mean that that's been offered there, so it doesn't make it more attractive for people to come here. The other point about that is it would have caused massive disunity in the teaching profession, because it'd be the first level and the second level, and then somebody who's on the third level, M3, would be being paid less than those who've come in as new members of staff. And so there was no planning from the department in discussions with us as to how they were going to address that. In fact, they appeared not to be going to address that inequity, which would not go down very well with the teaching staff on Ireland.
It's still, you're representing what, 70% of
70%.
It's still tricky that you've got all these different unions involved, isn't it?
Well, the teaching profession is divided between leadership unions and main teacher unions. We represent main scale teachers, middle management and leaders. ASCL represent mostly secondary heads and senior leaders, and then the NAHT represent mostly primary heads and senior leaders, and they now have another part of their union that represents some parts of upper scale teachers. Right. So those are the unions that are involved. But the one thing that's unprecedented, and we keep saying this as unions, is the unity of our three unions together on this from day one.
But not the fourth.
The fourth has gone their own way because they didn't go into dispute. We can't talk for a union that hasn't gone into dispute. That's their issue.
They'll get the pay rise regardless, and whatever happens.
They will indeed. But that's the way that is. There's nothing we can do about that.
That's this London waiting, is what I'm calling about. People living in London, they get an extra bump up. How much bump do you need in the Isle of Man? What makes this place uncompetitive? Well,
what makes it uncompetitive is the cost of living, and that our teachers are 30% behind their counterpart. Well, about 14%, 30% behind inflation, and I think the UK is about 14%, I'm not sure. So we're in a very, very, the pay erosion here has been really much worse than anywhere else.
Let's talk about negotiations. The Minister has his side, and we hope we'll be hearing from him this weekend, I think. But it's not been a very easy ride, I understand, from all accounts, all the press that's been going on.
Because there's been considerable disinformation, by the department, and I don't want to get into a tit-for-tat position with the department on this. What we want to do is hopefully, when we get to the negotiating table again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, that whoever comes to the table will have the power to make decisions, and also that they will not engage in this kind of negative, propaganda outside of the negotiations, because that's been very unhelpful.
You've raised it to the level. You've threatened the strike or whatever. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, we've taken legal ballots. We're legally balloted, and our legal balloted position that we're entitled to take industrial action, and we've gone for action short of strike action to minimise the impact as much as possible.
What does that actually mean?
What it actually means, if you like, in layman's terms, it is work to rule. So our teachers will not be engaged in any meetings or sessions with students before class begins, before student sessions begin, in the morning, at lunchtime and after school. That's what it means. But they will be fulfilling all their contractual duties, marking, assessing and teaching, which is their core job. That's what they will be doing.
We've got much more to talk about. We'll have part two of this.